2.0 launched earlier this week, and Governor Landry described it as the country's largest infrastructure investment aimed at expanding internet access. But there's an obstacle for companies looking to lay infrastructure here in Lake Charles. KPLC's Omar Martinez has more.
Some 42 million Americans have no access to broadband, according to Broadband Now. And in Louisiana, that number is 1.7 million, more than a third of the state's population. Gumbo, a part of the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment federal program, aims to change that by giving broadband companies an incentive to provide services to Louisianians. But a Louisiana law passed earlier this year will not award Gumbo funding to municipalities that impose franchise fees, which are fees that local governments charge companies for using public space. And Lake Charles just happens to be one of those.
The more companies that try to locate in our right-of-way or servitude, it gets to be crowded, especially in some of our servitudes that aren't real large. And that's where we start having some of the damages to our utility.
City Administrator John Cardone says the fees were put in place to protect the city's utility lines. He says providers have a couple of options, though. Companies can pay per linear foot to place fibers in the city's right-of-way or acquire their own.
Don't have to. No one's requiring them to go into the city's right-of-way. But we have these charges because at times when people are using our right-of-way, they inadvertently damage our water and wastewater line.
With the fees in place, Lake Charles has seen some growth over the years.
You know, years ago, there was only maybe one provider, and we have quite a few companies that's currently running broadband and fiber inside the city of Lake Charles, which we're very pleased and excited about.
Cardone says that the city welcomes broadband and encourages providers with grants to communicate with the city to work something out.
We want to see the broadband run and fiber run for the benefit of our citizens. But what the city would consider is if a provider has reached out and they have a grant that's servicing an area that's underserved, we would ask them to bring that to us. We'd consider maybe carving that area out of the franchise agreement.
In Lake Charles, Omar Martinez, 7 News.
Statewide, the Gumbo 2.0 program is set to bring over 8,000 jobs to Louisiana and increase the state's GDP by $1.3 billion.